Go to avatar on the top. First, we need our animations. So I'm going to just go to model on the top and press rig builder and click on R6 block avatar and just place it down somewhere. Now to actually make our animation, we need to open the animation editor, which is right here. To make an animation, you just click on the rig and name your animation. You can name it like whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay, then click on create. To make an animation, lots of people say animating on Roblox is pretty hard. It's actually pretty easy. All you need to do is just click the part you want to move, and just move it. If you want to make a keyframe at the start, just right click and press add keyframe here. And I'll take this hand, I'll rotate it. I will put it back. This here. After you're done with your animation, press the three dots and click on animation priority and set it to action 4 to make your animation smoother. To export your animation, just click on the three dots again and click on publish to Roblox. Then just give it a name if you want a description and submit. After it's done loading, copy the animation ID. Make sure to go to home, game settings, go to avatar and press on R6. This is really important. Make sure you do not forget this step. Just save this. Yes. Okay, now go to starter pack and create a local script by pressing on the plus arrow. On the local script, press another plus and create an animation. And here just insert your animation ID. Now that you've got your animation, it's time for the scripting part. You can just name your script. I'm going to call it combat client. You can call it whatever you want, combat skills or something like that. Okay, now we're just going to delete this print hello world, and we're going to make some variables or reference some things. First, let's start off with the player. How to reference the player, just say local PLR. PLR is short for player. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it PLR so it's more clear that this is a player. Is equal to game. Oh, wait a minute. Game dot players dot local player. So what this is exactly saying is we're making a variable called PLR, and this is going to be equals to game. Inside that game, it's going to be referencing to the players and then the local player. Now we need the user input service. We basically need the user input service to say to detect if for example, we press R, we need to detect that this pressed R. So for that, we need the user input service. So that's actually pretty easy. Just type local UIS. UIS is short for user input service. You could just name it anything. This is just a variable. You can call it this as well, but that's too long. So I'm just gonna say UIS is equal to game colon get service. Inside these brackets, you need double quotations and type user input service. So we're just getting the user input service. Okay, so now we're going to have to make a function to actually detect that we have pressed this letter or this key bind. So we're going to get the user input service by typing UIS, which is the variable we just made or the thing we just referenced. And we're going to do dot is an operator, input begin, getting something called input begin. It's basically inbuilt in Roblox Studio. Then we're gonna connect it to a function. make sure inside the brackets your written function. Add one more bracket in here. Then for this last bracket, just press return or enter, and it will become like this. Now here we're going to make some variables. Let's call it input and user. Now we're going to say if not instance. Don't type instance. Input service is equal to true, then return end. Like if you're typing in the chat or doing something else that's not on screen, then it'll just like stop it. Now time for the actual input part to begin. Like where we press E, something will happen. So go here, go on line 8, type if input dot keycode is equal to enum dot keycode dot whatever letter you want it to be. I'm just gonna make it let's just make it Q. The person presses the key code Q, then it will do something. Now it's time to make it actually do something. Let's just print for now. Print it's working. So if we press Q, then it will print it's working. Let's actually test it out. Q, and in the console it should say it's working. Combat client. Just stop by pressing this button, this big red button. Go back to your script. Now we need to work on the debounce. Debounce is basically like making sure it's not spammable. Just say local debounce is equal to false. That this means that like debounce is basically making sure it's not spammable. So we're saying this is equal to false. We're going to do debounce is equal to true to show that the debounce is on. Inside this function, inside this input, let's just do debounce. Oh, let's do before we do debounce, let's do task dot wait. How many seconds you want? You can make it a half second as well. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. I'm just gonna make it 1. Sit. And then we're going to turn the debounce off again. And just add one more line underneath the input service is equal to true, then return end. Just do like the same thing, but with debounce. So if debounce is already true, then just end it. I accidentally put these 2 lines above if keycode is equal to enum.keycode q. I accidentally put this line above. I'm very sorry for that. Mistakes sometimes happen. Okay, now basically go in the inspector, go to replicated storage, click on the plus button here, and add a remote event. So this remote event is basically going to fire if we detect a hit, and it's gonna play the animation, or it's just gonna do damage, play animation. So this is like the trigger. So you can just call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it hit or punch. I'll just call it hit. Remote it. You can call it whatever you want. Just keep in mind the name when you're scripting, otherwise like it won't work. It will say that you're referring to something that does not exist. Now go to server script service, which is like underneath replicated storage. Go press on the plus and click on a script. This script just delete the placeholder code. Let's just call this combat server. Okay, now go to your combat server script and just do game dot replicated storage dot your event name. Remember your event name. I called it remote hit dot on server event and connect function. Inside this function, I'm going to just pass in a variable PLR. It stands for player. We're just referencing to the player right now. And do this. Now basically what we're saying is we're going to the game. Inside the game, we're going to the replicated storage folder. And we're accessing the remote hit from replicated storage. Now we're getting the on server events and connecting it to a function with PLR passing. Just go to game. We just need to get the replicated storage here as well, so just game.replicated storage dot then colon fire server, not find first child, fire server. Basically what this line is just saying, the game inside the game's replicated storage, just fire the remote event. Just fire the remote. Inside this, let's just not leave it blank. Let's just print something. Yeah, let's just print the player that pressed it. If you press Q, it's gonna say this worked, and it's just gonna say your name. So Q is working, and bdreamer23, that's my username. If you're wondering how I got the script analysis, I usually like to keep it on because when I'm scripting, it shows whether I have an error or not. So you can just go to view, you can hover over these icons and find script analysis and just press it. Underneath fire server, we're going to actually play the animation now. Local animation. This is a variable, you can name it anything you want. I'm just calling it animation so we actually know what we're talking about. Because like if we're coming back to the script after a while and you just name this rubber duck, it'll be like, what is rubber duck? What does it do? So I actually like to have it like this so you know what you're talking about. Equal to PLR equal to player dot character dot humanoid. Make sure the humanoid is properly spelled and has a capital H. Now colon load animation parentheses script dot animation. Now basically what we're saying is we're making something called animation. It's going to be player, which is known as also character. So we're getting the humanoid. Inside every player that spawns in, there will be a humanoid. This is basically the root of the player. Inside there you can play animations, you can detect hits. It's sort of like that. And then we're loading the animation so we have combat hit and here's the animation. So we're saying on our script there's an animation. So just play that. Just load that animation. This just gets the animation that we want and it loads it. To actually play, we just need to do animation. Play parentheses Q. Yeah, it played the animation. So if you just keep doing Q, it will play this animation. If your animation is not playing or if you're facing any errors, you can message in my Discord server in the link in the description, or put it in the comments. Okay, so basically now your animation is playing, but it's not really doing any damage. So it's not really combating or hitting the player. It's just playing the animation. Just go to your combat server script. Go to line 4. Now we're going to create something new called hitbox. So just say local hitbox is equal to instance.new. So we're creating a new instance of it. Instance basically means we're duplicating it. But what are we exactly duplicating? Well, we're making a part. And part. Now hitbox is equal to dot parent is equal to workspace. So what this line is saying, it's saying this hitbox is going to be parented to the workspace. Means it's going to be inside the workspace. Now we're going to make some Boolean variables. Boolean is basically true or false. So hitbox hitbox dot anchored. So anchored is basically like it stays in the position where it was created or spawned. So that's anchored, it doesn't fall off or anything. So this is going to be true. Hitbox dot can collide is equal to false. So can collide basically means if you can collide with it. So if I'm bumping into, let me just test to explain. So if I'm bumping into this, that means its can collide is on. So both of us are colliding. So we don't want the hitbox to, like, if another player is in between, we don't want it to be pushed by the hitbox, like how I'm pushing this rig. So we're just gonna turn that off. So the hitbox basically, you can just go through the hitbox. We don't want the hitbox to actually become like this rig. Hitbox.transparency. You probably know what transparency is. It's basically if it's see-through or not. So if I put this to 1, it's gonna be like you won't be able to see it. It's not visible. It's completely see-through. You don't even know it's there. If I put it to 0, then you can see it like it's an actual block. You won't be able to see what's through it. I'm just gonna put it to 0.5. Now hitbox.size is equal to vector3.new. It basically means that we're adjusting the hitbox size. We don't want it to be extremely huge or extremely small. I just put it to 555 for starting. Okay, so this line of code basically means that the hitbox will spawn wherever we're looking at. So if I'm looking left, the hitbox will spawn left. If my player is facing right, then my hitbox will spawn in the right position. Now, game.reprise add item hitbox 2. This again is sort of the hitbox size. We're just adding it. And local hits, this is just a value that can change over time. It's just empty right now. Okay, now we're actually going to make it like if the hitbox is on the player, then it'll actually take damage and hit or play the animation. So what we're going to do hitbox dot touched connect function hit. Hold up, it just says hi. And I'm gonna just do this. So we're saying if this hitbox is touched, we're gonna connect it to a function and we're gonna pass in something called hit. So basically it's just this line of code is just checking for the humanoid. So it's saying if the hitbox hits a player, which is the humanoid, then continue. And this part is just making sure you can hit yourself, detecting your own humanoid. So we're saying if this is not hit.parent.humanoid, find first child player.name, then if it's not finding anything, then continue with this line. So basically we're detecting if it has a humanoid. If it doesn't, then hits. Then it just displays this. And then it returns the value. So hits player.parent.name is equal to true. So we're just saying that this is making sure that this is not spammable. This is like the debounce. Now we're going to just like wait. Let's do task.wait to You can add in any weight amount. I just put 2 since it's sort of short and not that long. Since it's not that long but not too short. You can just copy paste the code above and just say false. Because we're just so what we're doing here, we're putting the debounce on and putting the debounce off. What we're doing is making the spammability on and then putting it off again. Now over here, we're going to do hits dot parent and first child humanoid take damage and the amount of damage you want the player to take. So I'm just gonna put 5. What we're saying here is that after finding the humanoid, if it touches the hitbox, then we're gonna deal damage. This is the actual damage part. Okay, now it's taking damage. So yeah, make sure you're not using the hits. It should be hit. There's no S. The naming can be a bit confusing sometimes. We have successfully created our combat system. So if you wanted to add audio, like hit sound effects, then follow along. Go to your where did it go? Server script service, combat server. You should see the toolbox. If you don't have the toolbox, go to home. Next to editor, you should see toolbox, just enable it. And you'll probably find it. You should see a models here. We don't want models, we want audio. You can find basically any sound effect here, like whatever this is. Punch. So we have different punches. So whoop. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, I like this one. So just press insert and it will insert to whatever you have selected. Okay, so what we're doing is we're basically getting the sound, which is SND. We're saying inside the script, inside our script, and it's inside the script that we are writing code right now. We're getting its child. So if it's inside so combat server is the parent and punch is the child. So we're getting this. Make sure it's exact, otherwise it won't work. And we're cloning it. And we're basically parenting the SND. We're basically putting it inside the humanoid. So we're putting it inside the player and it will make noise. And then we're playing it. And here's just like, we're just adding it. Cue. Yep, it played. Now we have successfully created a combat system. We can punch and do damage. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, please comment down below. If you face any issues, go to my Discord server and leave a message, or you can comment down below. I'll most likely respond. I will respond. See you guys next time. Bye.